In today's Leeds news, Tarik Muharemovic to Leeds. Ampadu reveals Wilson transfer pitch. 2 more academy deals. City open to Trafford sale. And Leeds poach highly rated analyst. Wednesday, the 15th of July, with your Leeds United news. Jer here at the Leeds View. Hope you're all having a lovely morning and a good week so far. Great news last night on the Tarik Muharemovic. Have to roll the tongue on that one. I'll give you a proper pronunciation in a couple of minutes' time. We got that done last night, covered it on the live stream. We also did the podcast out with Andrea, who gave his opinion on the kind of player that Tarik Muharemovic is. So you can check that out from Monday if you want to. We'll have a podcast out tonight with David Bransby, who's organising the Elliot James Bransbury Memorial Shield at the John Charles Stadium, a memorial shield for his son Elliot, who passed away before Leeds got promoted in the 2019-2020 season. The season ticket holder in the Cop. Worth checking out tonight later on, but 7:30, 8 o'clock when that will go up. You can check out details on that later on. But we've got a lot of stuff to get stuck into today, and we'll start off with the Tarik Muharemovic detail and where we are with that. Well, people are actively watching the flight tracker apps and Leeds Bradford Airport. We got a bit of detail this morning. So we got the confirmation last night from Fabrizio Romano. We got a little bit more detail this morning. So Leeds have agreed a €40 million transfer with Sassuolo for Tarik Muharemovic. And that's how I pronounce it now. This is how he pronounces it.
Tarik Muharemovic.
There you go. And one more time.
Tarik Muharemovic.
There you go. We'll get used to this over time. We have that. It's about a £34 million transfer. In total, that's said to be all in, which isn't quite a record signing for Leeds United, but is a record for 49ers Enterprises since they became the leading or full owners of Leeds United a couple of years ago. The full financial picture on this is a bit clearer this morning. Beren, the Marzio, as well as Lucas Seeley, all have some detail out on what's gone into this deal and what we're looking at. And we're also going to talk about the journalist issue or lack of information that came out around this and give you some detail on that as well. So Sassuolo will pick up €40 million, £34 million, €20 million of that will go straight to Juventus for their 50% sell-on clause. And Muharemovic will travel to Leeds today. I believe it's today, possibly tomorrow, to complete his medical and sign his contract. And as we always say, he's not a Leeds United player till he's in a Leeds United shirt, which is why that picture's up there and not one of them wearing a Leeds United shirt. Not until he's in one. We're not sticking it up. If you look at this, it was pointed out last night in the live stream. From a net spend perspective, Leeds have sold Pascal Struijk for €18 million plus 2. If you take the 18 million away from the 34 million Leeds have spent on that, you're looking at a net spend for Leeds right now of £16 million. 14 if you include the 2, but that's depending on add-ons. So £16 million spent so far net for Leeds on 2 players and hopefully a few more to come in. Lucas Seeley has addressed the financial part of this and the deal itself, and he said this is actually quite a significant deal because Muharemovic wanted European football next season or this season. Leeds' desire to get this deal across the line and the pitch they put in, desire to get him, convinced Muharemovic to sign for the club. Now, Leeds did beat off competition, and after last year's back and forth with Sunderland, Leeds have beaten Sunderland and Bournemouth, who both have European football, to get this deal done, which is a significant move. Beren has framed this perfectly in his piece this morning, and he says Muharemovic basically fills every single gap that Pascal Struijk has left in the club. 6'4", aerial dominant, good on the deck, 23 years of age, and proven commodity in Serie A. Best years are ahead of him as well, and he's got resale value. Should the worst ever happen, there is some resale value on him, so there's always that. But Cross did describe this as a major sign of intent from Leeds and a real show of faith in the quality that Muharemovic possesses. Now, what it all means for Leeds is that the deal is agreed. He'll sign for Leeds from Serie A once everything gets done. One of the most promising defenders in Serie A and one of Leeds' stretch targets that the ownership have been talking about trying to get in for the last couple of summers, and they've gotten this one over the line. At least now, we'll see if there's always a risk. There's always a risk. But obviously, look, player terms and medicals and everything else need to be done and sorted. So we'll get to see him in a Leeds United shirt. We'll talk about it being a done deal when we see him in a Leeds jersey. The journalistic stuff on this, or the journalism stuff locally and internationally on this, is worth getting into, because obviously Romano put the tweet out on Saturday saying that Leeds were in the race to get him and had moved for him. Smyth retweeted that and basically put a comment out that said, sources at the club had said, Leeds admire him, nothing more than that, hadn't moved beyond that. And then Beren put out a piece yesterday morning saying exactly the thing that the usual sources remaining anonymous to protect relationships had said, nothing more than admiration. And that information now appears to be false. So it's been speculated that Leeds have deliberately held back the full picture, not necessarily lied to somebody, but have held back the full picture to try and avoid the deal from getting hijacked. And Romano's detail on this appears to have come directly from the player's agent and Sassuolo themselves, the selling side of this. So if you look at Instagram, and as Andrea Russo pointed out, Muharemovic and Romano both follow each other, so likely an agent's leaked that information. But from a Leeds perspective, this isn't a great look. Deliberately withholding information or giving out false information that could damage the credibility of a local journalist, especially when they're reporting on stuff from the club in good faith. It's not a great look, and it calls into question anytime they now say admired but nothing more than that, because now there will be a question mark and a caveat to that because of what has happened in this situation. So I personally don't like that. I think it's important to make sure that local journalists are protected from a credibility perspective, especially when they're speaking to sources directly at the club and, again, reporting in good faith. So they haven't been given the full set of information. That can happen. But yeah, not a great look for me. But the result on this basically meant that the leak led to Leeds speeding up the negotiations to get this deal done and push it across the line as quickly as they could. And in one sense, that's probably not a bad thing, because it meant Leeds got themselves into gear and got this one over the line and got it done, instead of trying to haggle over pennies and pounds to try and get the best possible deal that they could. They may have gotten a bit cheaper if this hadn't come out, but they might not have gotten them in before they head off on their US tour, which I think is next week. So fingers crossed they can get the rest of their main targets in before then. And we'll see where we go. But there's the info on it right now. We'll give you more when we get it. Let's move on and talk about Ethan Ampadu's sales pitch to Harry Wilson. We got a nice little piece of insight into the Harry Wilson signing this morning from Kyle Newbold in the Yorkshire Evening Post, and Ethan Ampadu revealing exactly what he said to his Welsh teammate to convince him to join the Welsh contingent at Leeds United. Harry Wilson, in his interview when he joined Leeds, said that Ampadu was the kind of friend who just keeps blowing up your phone if you don't answer it. He'll keep bringing you back. And that was a factor in this. But Ampadu himself has been speaking with LUTV about what he said to Harry Wilson to try and get this deal across the line. And he said the following. Yeah, I texted him a couple of times. Everyone's aware that last year there was speculation going around. So we, myself and Joe Rodon, were both onto him. And this summer, over the course of whenever you're away with the Welsh lads, and people speak about how it's going at your club. Luckily, we were fortunate to just give honest praise about what it's like being here at Leeds. So these conversations were pretty much similar to telling him what it's like, how good he would be for us. And thankfully, he made the right decision. So no false promises, no big elaborate sales pitches, just a bit of truthful information and relying on relationships in football to try and get deals done. And not to be said about strong relationships between players, between clubs and players, and trust and everything else that goes into that. So yeah, it's a big one there, and a lot to be said for that relationship and how it convinced Harry Wilson to come to Leeds United. I'm looking forward to seeing him. 2 good signings in the door so far for Leeds, but hopefully more to come. We move on. 2 more academy deals and 1 significant one as far as I'm concerned. 17-year-old academy goalkeeper Oliver Wood has signed a 2-year professional contract at Leeds, which will keep him at Thorpe Arch until the summer of 2028. Oliver made 10 appearances last season for the Leeds United under-18s. He also played in the FA Youth Cup, and he was involved in the matchday squads for the under-21s in their games against West Ham United in October, as well as the EFL trophy tie against Fleetwood Town. So good signing for Leeds. Another competitive goalkeeper, another big lad to keep at the club over 2 years. He's only 17 years of age. Plenty of road to cover yet for Oliver Wood, but congratulations to him on signing his deal. The next one to talk about is Jacob Howard. I was looking forward to this one. Jacob Howard has signed his first pro deal at the club, and significantly, this is a 3-year deal that will keep him at Leeds until 2029. He's still just 17 years of age. He was an ever-present in Scott Gardner's under-21 side last season alongside Luke Matikiewicz and Johnny Howson when he was playing, and he's described as being a real talent, and anyone who watched him last year can see that in him. Howard, for those who don't know, is a right-footed centre-half, very comfortable on the ball. He's been described as a real talent within the club, and he captained Leeds under-18s on a regular basis and has been involved in the England under-17 side as well since he made his debut. 8 caps I think he has by England, and was the captain for England under-17s as well. 3-year deal is the longest deal that any of the academy players have signed to date, which does give you some insight into what Leeds believe they have with Jacob Howard, and does tie him down for a lengthy period of time, because Leeds have had to deal with interest in Jacob Howard. There's been lots of major academies and major sides that were interested in bringing Jake Howard to their club. Leeds have tied him down now for 3 years, which protects their asset and, more importantly, gives Jake a chance to develop over the next couple of years. He is one to watch next season and the seasons beyond that as well. And if he continues at the rate of development that he's put in over the last couple of years, he could be a player you see making the breakthrough in a few years' time into Daniel Farke's first team. He is very much a Farke-style player. Big physical lad, very good on the deck, aerially dominant, ticks all the boxes that Daniel Farke likes to look at. But we will cover him and Oliver and the rest of the academy lads in the under-21 watch-alongs over on bigup.com next season. So if you want to get a closer look at them, you can do that. And we'll obviously have our interview with Jerry McDermott during the season, as we always do, to talk about how the under-21s are getting on. That'll be about mid-season, 3/4 of the way into the season. We'll talk about it later. Let's move on. Back to talking about goalkeepers, let's have a little chat about James Trafford. And Leeds, as we know, been reportedly linked with James Trafford since the back end of February. 5 months now, had a little sniff around them last summer as well. But the door may now finally be open for Leeds to make a move for James Trafford. Manchester City are now believed to be open to a sale of James Trafford after they signed Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper Pierce Charles, the brother of Shay Charles. Leeds are said to remain firmly interested in bringing James Trafford into the club this season, but it is described as one that will be an expensive signing in and around the same level as Muharemovic. Trafford only made 14 appearances last season for Manchester City. Most of them were in the Cup. And when he signed for the club, he was initially first choice before they brought Donnarumma in. And he spoke publicly about this at the time, and he said it wasn't what he was expected when he was coming into last season, and now he wants regular first team football. The Graham Smyth back on June 27th spoke about James Trafford, and he said he wouldn't see Trafford as an easy get, but he is definitely one of the ones that Leeds like. Reports suggest that Man City would want more than the £27 million they paid for James Trafford, despite the fact that he's only played 14 games last season. So you're looking at anything between 30 and £40 million. So he might actually tip into that record sale territory. However, nothing is expected to happen on this, not even slightly, until after England's involvement in the World Cup. Trafford is likely to take some time off then, after being constantly training since the season ended. And that doesn't mean that Leeds can't negotiate a fee with Manchester City during that period of time, and it doesn't mean they can't negotiate personal terms with his agency during that time, but you wouldn't likely see him in a Leeds United shirt or signing a contract until he was done with his holidays. But a lot more ground to run on that one. The main hurdle on this is a big one, and that's competition. There is a ton of clubs interested in James Trafford. Despite the fact that Newcastle have signed a new goalkeeper, they're still expected to try and make a move for James Trafford. They've had a bad summer in terms of getting their priority targets, so they might stretch to get this one over the line. But it's another ambitious target. It's another stretch one. It will be a very strong signing for Leeds if they could get him in. And again, just given Leeds' net spend so far, maybe they can go a bit further. And if other sales are to happen this summer and Leeds can bring in a few quid, maybe they could afford to move a bit higher and try and get this one done. But not even close to being done, not even close to being a bid at this stage. Very much still in there. He could be going. He's possibly available to go, but Leeds are definitely interested should he be available for evaluation that they see fit. So we'll see where it goes. Let's move on to a backroom appointment. So a non-player acquisition for Leeds, but no less important. And if opinions are to be believed on this one, this is a fairly significant appointment. Leeds United have recruited Matthew Jenkins as first team performance analyst, poaching him from Cardiff City, where he spent the last 8 years of his career. And head coach Brian Barry Murphy described him as being genuinely exceptional at his job. Now, Jenkins moved up the ranks in Cardiff. He first joined him as an under-23 performance analyst in 2018, before he then became the first team data analyst in 2020, and then promoted to first team's performance analyst in 2023, where he was involved in their promotion campaign to the Championship and the 25-26 season, and given a huge amount of credit in what they did as well. Now, Brian Barry Murphy spoke last year about Matt Jenkins, and he said the following. Matt Jenks has been here a long time. He's carried it through and through, and his level of work is of the highest quality. I've been blessed to have Matt Jenks in the building and work alongside him, and really, he's blowing me away. From a Leeds United perspective, this is a fairly significant acquisition, and it's exactly the kind of appointment that reflects the 49ers data-driven model. We've seen it with the recruitment side. We're now seeing it with the analytics side of the team. And they don't just look at players, they also look at the infrastructure. They look at the little details around the edges as well to try and get all of those small marginal games. You go back to when Tarik Muharemovic did his first interview after becoming Leeds United chairman, and he said then that he likes to employ the best people to do the best jobs and let them do their jobs, and you'll see success from that. You look at the recruitment team's record over the last 3 summers, it's very, very strong. You look at the medical team's record over the last 2 years of an exceptional level, and now the analytics team as well. So Leeds adding in a very highly rated talent analyst to the first team setup is a real strong addition and something to build on for Leeds. It's more attention to detail around the fringes for the 49ers enterprises. Again, he's been spoken very highly of. A lot of the reports that have been written about this over the last day or so since he's come in or been appointed by Leeds all say the same thing. Exceptionally good at his job, very much attention driven, detail driven, data driven. So yeah, good addition to the Leeds United first team, backroom team. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on how Matt gets on over the course of the next season. But folks, that'll be it for me today. Don't forget to check out the podcast late tonight with David Bransby around the Memorial Shield for Elliot James Bransby, Leeds United fan and Cop season ticket holder who passed away just before Leeds promotion in 2019-2020 season. Give you some detail on who's involved in that game. It's at the John Charles Stadium for Sport. And we'll give you all that detail tonight on how you can go and support that and go to the game and see some celebrities and Leeds legends who are involved in the game. Have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. See you. Bye.